We have Jack from New York, Tanya from France. Richard, I still don't know where you're coming in from. If you could kindly type in the chat or show us your picture, I would love to see that. Aloha, Jack. I see you. I know Tanya. Richard,
Aloha.
Hi. I will be asking you to participate at least with a quick nod of acknowledgement of who you are. Otherwise, we will be asking you to leave the Zoom room. It's just how I keep this room safe and secure for all who are present. Going once, going twice. Mary, can you take care of that, please? Can you ask Richard you can ask him to leave the room or take him out of the room, please? Thank you. Okay, welcome everybody. Everyone in here already knows me, but those of you watching later, I wanted to just take a quick moment to introduce myself, something I often forget to do. Amy Elizabeth Gordon here, compassion activist, relationship coach, relational health coach, published author. I'm basically passionate about well-being, and I'll do whatever I can to take a stand for you and for me in order to get there. What I've found over many decades of working both rigorously, personally, doing the deep dive of healing and recovery, moving from despair to repair and trauma to extraordinary joy is there have been about 12 distinctions that keep surfacing for me in those moments when I have clarity, which is our topic for today. Aloha, Annie. I know Annie from Canada. Welcome, my dear. Those moments of clarity come and they're fueled by these 12 distinctions. And each month we're going to cover a different distinction. We've covered the realm of resilience, trusting ourselves to no longer abandoning ourselves, focusing on our part in things on our side of the street, repairing that very part where we're adding to any discord, and having faith that the universe is conspiring tirelessly in our favor. Those are the distinctions in the realm of resilience. If you're curious about those, the recordings are on YouTube. They're on my Vimeo channel. Check them out. You're here now. We are entering the realm of compassion. Compassion, according to Thich Nhat Hanh, is a verb. It is an action. It is a way of being with one's own tender heart and opening up to be with the other in order to uplift the world, in order to live an extraordinary life. And what I have found is the first distinction is that sense of clarity of mind, peace of mind, a sense of ease, a sense of energetically combing. Let's all do that now. We did the buzz breath together, and now we're gonna take our fingers like they're a comb and just shoo, comb out any stuckness in our mind. That's one of the clarity practices. That's an instant go-getter that I remember quite frequently. It feels so good. And sometimes I have to do the double swoop and be sure to get it off my shoulders too. Yeah. So Annie, you're just joining us. We did the buzz breath to kind of clear out some of that trauma. So if you want to mute yourself and buzz for a moment to tune in on our vibration, you're welcome to do so. But I know you're doing the deep healing work as well. So I'm honored that you're here today. Amy Elizabeth Gordon here, holding you high in my heart. So much more I can say, but on that note, I think we'll just keep it brief. I'm going to turn it over to my beloved nudge master to the nudge master here, Mary, who's holding me high, holding me accountable during these unimaginable times, and helping me not just hibernate and isolate in my little shell here on a rock in the middle of the ocean. So thank you, Mary. Please lay out the schedule for today.
Yes. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. Lukash was here. I don't know where he went, but I know. Hello, Lukash. I'll say hi to him energetically. So we already did our verbal permission for recording. And then just to know that there's the chat feature. And so please engage in the chat if you have a question and kind of a hand raise. I'll be monitoring that. Amy watches it pretty well too, but use the chat. That is definitely something that it is there for. And it just, if you can, set your phone aside and or turn it off. Really be as present as possible in this time. If you have a pen and paper handy, you want to take notes, that would be a good time just to grab pen and paper. And then just think about like, what is the thing that's jumping out? We talk about the one thing, but write it down, write it down, something that jumps out to you. So our theme for today's show, Amy said, was clarity. And the definitions, these are found. The definition, the ordinary and extraordinary definition, is found in Amy's book, Moonshot. Aim high, dive deep, and live an extraordinary life. Clarity, ordinary definition, is the quality of transparency or purity. And then you had the faith there. So I'm going to put clarity, extraordinary definition, is the quality of being transparent and seeing purity in all things. And the quote on this page is, clarity comes from action, not thought. And that's Maria Forleo that says that. So that is clarity. And I would just say that for me, a quick little clarity practice that I do is my morning journaling. I have a very much a system in place. What bugged me yesterday? You really just try to unpack things that are nagging and putting intention into the future. So that is just a quick thing I do to help my clarity. Really is a morning journal practice. 5 minutes, 20 minutes. Sometimes I can even give it an hour, but it doesn't have to be, for me, it's not anything super grand, but it very much helps me get it out of my head and onto paper. It's kind of a prayer that for me can be the journaling. Here's what the next hour, a little under an hour now, is going to look like. Amy is going to guide us on a journey, starting with clarity exercises. What does yes feel like in your body? An embodied presence. We have two special guests today. Deva was here for practice, and then Amy did a comment. I noticed the bee outfit. That's why we went with the buzz. Amy changed directions when she saw beautiful Deva in her yellow, black, and white. And then we also have Suzanne Carroll, a coach helping women put joy in the driver's seat. And I'm going to introduce you to Susie a little more fully later in the show. We'll close our time together at the top of the hour, and we promise we won't be late. We're going to honor that closing time, but we will have a chance at the top of the hour, 10 to 15 minutes, keeping the room open a bit and just asking Amy anything. And so now I'm going to introduce Amy. And for those of you who don't know our guide today, I think we all do, but let's just say it again. This is Amy. She's a tender, powerful woman, a generous woman. So I'm going to say that again because Amy is a tender, powerful, generous woman. Amy is a relationship architect, skilled at building relationships with self, other, and spirit. She's a published author. And we've got that right here. And these can be purchased directly from me. I have some on hand, so just put it in the chat and I will handle that for Amy if you're interested in a book. So without further ado, Amy, take us with you.
Thank you, Mary. I forgot that you were going to introduce me. So we got double introduction to make up for all those times I forgot. Yeah.
Who else introduced? Did I miss? Did that already happen?
You introduced me and I already introduced me. So I just
okay.
All good. We do not have a problem here. That's one of my favorite lines that Mary taught me. We do not have a problem here. So if you ever want to get clarity on things, just ask yourself, do you really have a problem here? And what if you don't have a problem here? I love it. It's a positive reframe all the time. And thank you, Deva, for the endorsement there. I want to just say that the idea of clarity as a practice is putting energy into compassion. It's making compassion a verb. It's like, how do we do clarity? Clarity is something I want. Clarity is an ideal. It's a thought. I can cognitively imagine what that is, but to actually practice it. And as I was going back through Moonshot and looking at what are my practices, I realized we have wow, I look like I'm on another planet now. These colors are just going wacky. I'm going to not look at that. My beloved Deva is one of my special guests. She does breath work with me. She's also a graphic artist extraordinaire, and she has helped me formulate some of my thoughts into a daily tracker. I believe most of you already have this. If you don't have it, put it in the chat and Mary will let me know. I'll get you a free copy of this. This is for the realm of compassion, and we start with clear your mind. And the first thing here is make your bed. What a beautiful practice. Just close that chapter of your day. Get up, make your bed. How many of y'all make your bed in the morning? Raise your hand. Oh, Annie, yep. Susie. Nope. Is that because Tom's still in bed, or you just don't make that?
I always make it mid-morning.
Oh.
I usually head straight outside first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, so I still have a clearing practice, but yeah.
Yes. Which brings to mind the other one, which is get that, what do they call it? It's actually called a cortisol pulse or something, to get that sunlight on your retina first thing in the morning for, at least a few minutes. So, okay, Susie, I'm gonna let you off the hook. Especially in the Northwest when it's sometimes not easily accessible, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, make your bed. And then the next is meditate, pray, be still. Some of us meditate and we want to clear our thoughts of, and we think clarity is the absence of thought. Au contraire, I believe it is just being still, being present, and noticing. And sometimes when I'm not able to receive the messages, which is where I feel meditation comes in, I supplicate. I do the pule, or the prayer. Pule is what we call it here in Hawaii. I do that energetic exchange of my breath, my seeking, whatever that is, just a simple God guide me, if you will. And then I open up to receive what are the messages. And in that, I anchor my mind with a mantra. What is my mantra right now? Coming back to, I love you, I need you. This is a beautiful mantra that I learned from one of my mentors, Maya Coleman. And she had me say this to my husband every night before we turn the light out. And it was one of the hardest things I ever had to do. For me, being a staunchly independent, strong, self-sufficient woman in so many ways, to actually open up my tender heart and say, I need you, was a way of getting true, and lately I've been hearing people say power to truth, power to the truth, power to the truth of acknowledging I love you, I need you. And as I've been playing with this practice over the last week, preparing for today's class, I thought, what a beautiful practice when there's a decision to make in your life. If you can honestly say to yourself, I love you, I need you, that, my dear, is a wholehearted yes, right? If you have that doubt, Mary also taught me this, when in doubt, don't. When there's a whole bunch of doubt coming in, what about the power of the pause? What about saying everything's a hell no until it proves itself as a hell yes? It's a beautiful way of organizing our day, of stepping into sovereignty of our life, of really reclaiming our power. Because right now, things are starting to get a little revved up. Yeah, there's more travel happening, more meetings happening in person. My anxiety is definitely being spiked around all of this and trying to make the right decision. When in doubt, don't. Around a certain thing, I love you, I need you. I feel that way about my paddling in the morning. I love you, I need you. Yeah, thank you, David, for putting in the chat. I feel the power of an embodied yes. So take a moment, close your eyes. I want y'all to go inside, because that's where the true answer is, your inner guidance system. What does a full and complete, wholehearted, whole embodied yes feel like within your body? Just take a quick moment. First thought, best thought, no right or wrong. What does it feel like? And go ahead and either unmute if you want to share your voice, or type in the chat. I'd love to hear, what does yes feel like in your body? Susie?
I don't have an actual word to describe it, but it's definitely an inner knowing, and I'm at peace, mind, body, soul. Just everything comes into alignment when, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna use the word clarity. Yeah, just you said peace. Yeah, I'm more relaxed, actually.
Yeah.
Relaxed and
Mm-hmm.
boom. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No hesitation for me.
Beautiful. David,
A lot of word in there.
Yeah. Tanya, are you here with us? Are you? somewhere else. Jack, what does it feel like when you're a yes? Hi, Tanya. What does yes feel like in your body when you make a decision and it's a definite yes?
I'm excited.
Excited. Yeah. Gives you juice, huh? Gives you energy. How about you, Annie? What does yes feel like?
Yes, feel like I am in tune with everything that's around me.
Yeah.
And I don't have a doubt.
Mhm.
It's yes, it's clear, it's direct.
Mhm. Beautiful. Beautiful.
It's not very often,
I was just going to ask. I was just curious
but
about
I know what it is.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I love that you talked about doubt. Doubt is one of the gremlins that eats away at my serenity for certain. Yeah. And
I just
so
want to say that David did type because she's not going to go off of mute because there's some background noise. Open.
gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. That sense of expansion, openness, alignment, relaxation, being attuned to the environment, whatever's around you. Those all sound really juicy and welcoming to me. And when I have a moment of it, if you're anything like me, I want to cling to it and I want to recreate it. And how do I get to do this again? So that brings me to the next practice, which is paying attention to the transitions in my life. The transitions are where the gold is, in my opinion. And if I can mine them and really pay attention, how do I wake up in the morning? Smile upon awakening before my feet hit the floor. How do I enter a room? What energy am I bringing in a room? I carry a lot of energy. I can be that dark cloud coming in, or I can be that bundle of joy. And usually my son Toby's the first to notice it. Mom, Mom, you're really in good spirits right now. And it's like, he's such a mirror to me. And I'm super grateful for that. It's also a huge responsibility, yeah, to really contain my energy more so and ask myself as I'm entering in. And when Dave and I were doing leadership training together, this question kept coming up. Am I going to be instrumental, detrimental, or inconsequential to this experience? Those are big words, but they make 100% sense to me. Annie's nodding. Maybe they land with her. But ask yourself, like, how do I want to be? Where do I want to be at the end of this time together? And what energy do I get to bring to exchange with this experience right here, right now?
Can you repeat those three words?
Certainly, certainly. Instrumental. Am I going to help? Am I going to be beneficial?
Yes.
Instrumental. I love the word instrumental. Detrimental. Am I going to harm this? Am I going to erode the peace or the joy or whatever's already here? And then finally, inconsequential. I think inconsequential notches down on the spectrum. It's not just neutral. It's inconsequential, meaning it doesn't matter if I'm here or not. That's probably my biggest fear, to live a life being inconsequential. Like, I am here to be a powerful presence of light and love. And when I am inconsequential, I feel like I've failed in some ways. So that's my personal high bar. So
do you say that instrumental is what we should be? We should
get to decide,
aspire to be?
Yes, that would be my nudge. Like, how do you get to be instrumental to this? And sometimes the most powerful thing for me is to be quiet, is to be still, is to do nothing, is to create a sense of safety and containment of my own energy so that my son can come forth, my husband can come forth, my client can come forth, whatever that is. Sometimes it's the absence of doing, which is great news to my soul. It brings great joy to me to recognize that. And Jack, did you want to add something, my dear?
Yes, yearning, evolving soul. Yes.
Yes.
Yearning, evolving soul. Yes. When I think of the answer to your question, I'm a yes.
Beautiful. I love it. You've got such good little nuggets, Jack. I learned so much. Yearning, evolving soul. Yes. Yes. there's a sense of uplifting and wanting to transcend and transform one's life. And I love to bring in the acceptance of where we are right now. And that's that soul. Like my soul is just this little home for the great spirit, the creative universe, to come home to me. I can be here now, and I can have that yearning and that evolving. But if I'm always yearning and evolving, those of you who know me know it leads to strife. And then I get going and I get fisted and I get tight, and Susie's nodding. You get that? Yeah. Okay, one more thing, and then I want to get over to Susie and engage with some juiciness with my guest there. The final practice, which is a continuum of this transition, of this inviting in some space. I love to remember to invite space for grace to enter my heart and my mind. And in a lot of traditional languages, these words are the same. Like bodhicitta, the awakened heart, the awakened mind, like there's no distinction. We have a dualistic reference point I grew up with anyway. I have my head, I have my heart, so I'm trying to join forces here. They really are one when I'm in that sense of alignment. And when I invite in soft, positive, active, clear energy, that's the space for grace to enter my heart and my mind. So when I'm going in the doorway, where do I release the grip? Where do I soften? Where do I wake up and get a little more positive and pay attention to the good instead of the magnifying mind of what's wrong with this situation? Because I will find it, guaranteed. But I get to look for the good, the positive. I get to be active and engaged and clear and allow that energy in. So that's the other acronym that I would offer up for today, Jack, is SPACE. Space for grace. Soft, positive, active, clear, energizing.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the final practice there is the ultimate transition, the ultimate grace, grace-filled moment that my little heart prays for, which is passing, the transition into death. I aspire to die with grace and ease and flow. And how I do that is I prepare myself for it. I think about it. I talk to my kids about it. I don't have a life-threatening illness that I know of other than my alcoholism, which I tend to on a daily basis through ongoing recovery. But I feel the importance of knowing that that's coming, to not deny it, to not be ignorant of it, to not be fearful of it, but to just embrace the reality of that, not knowing what comes on the other side. But one way I do that is I hang out with elders. I'm super grateful that Jack comes to my Zoom rooms. I'm super grateful that when I go paddling with the kapunas, I'm with the elders, and I pay attention. And I pay attention to what matters most in their tender hearts. It usually involves connecting with nature, being interested in others, and tuning into some natural rhythm. There's no time construct. There's no need to perform. There's no rat race mentality. There's a softening that as someone who's 51 wants to invite in that mentality now. So there's a lot more I can say about that, but the final practice is go hang out with an elder today. Go get some wisdom. Go get some humility around what matters most, so that we don't have to die with some of those regrets of the dying of, I didn't spend more time with what matters most in my life. I wish I'd expressed my feelings. I wish I'd told my friends and family how much I care for them. I wish I'd written that book or traveled to that sacred place. You know, whatever it is that matters most, pay attention. If it's a I love you, I need you message within, go there. Do that. Do what matters most now, because our precious life is here. It's here now. And I don't want to be inconsequential, right, Annie? I want to live life to the fullest. So I'd love to open up for just a quick comment. If anything jumped out to anyone, I just shared a lot of juicy information. I hope something landed for you. If not, I'll turn it back to Mary, and she's going to introduce Susie.
When you were talking about grace, which is one of my favorite words, but what came to me is grace is clarity in action.
Yeah. David,
Yeah.
write that one down. Yeah, beautiful, Susie. Grace is clarity in action. Is there more about that you'd like to share?
Well, when it's my turn, I have a whole bunch to share. So
And I'll just say a lot stood out. I took a lot of notes. I love that. But just as far as for me, the death of, I encourage people also to be willing to be with like volunteer at a nursing home. I did hospice volunteer work. I actually am there when my pet is euthanized and they're passing, and really just to not, it's not always pretty, be with people that are sick and dying. And because I've just always been really exuberant. I don't know why in those spaces, and it has served me as I've gotten older. I understand that has created a death and created a relationship to death. So that's another thing I would encourage, is just to be with people when they don't feel so good in a physical way, that sort of thing. So, because they need that anyway. That's when people tend to kind of disappear. So that's felt important to me to say.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I remember my time as a hospice volunteer in Port Townsend. Susie and I knew each other in Port Townsend briefly. I feel like we know each other better now. I lived so far away. It's kind of interesting, but my time there, there's a poignancy, there's a transparency, there's a clarity that happens in that stage. And my extraordinary definition of clarity is the willingness to be transparent and to see purity in all things. That's a tall order, but that window, that moment of death, is the perfect portal to do that. And I think as a culture, as we wake up to where are we missing these important moments, these rites of passage, these portals into another realm, which is where we can access the grace, which is clarity with muscles, clarity in action. So beautiful. What you got, Annie? I really enjoyed this moment with you all. I must lay down now and have a nap. Blessings and love. You take good care, my dear. Take good care, Annie. You can watch the recording later because I want you to meet Susie. Okay, so Mary, take us away to the intro for Susie, if you will, if you have that there. Otherwise, I can pull it up. Oh,
okay, I got it. Okay, yes. So Susie Carroll. Susie Carroll is a reformed super striver turned life lover, joy guide, and passionate advocate for women rising. With over 35 years in business and leadership, and as a certified wellness consultant and graduate of the School of Hard Knocks, she knows firsthand the stress and anxiety that comes from being fed by how society says you should be. Susie's on a mission to help women put joy in the driver's seat and works with women over 40, guiding them into saying goodbye to what no longer serves them and hello to what does. Up-leveling joy, calling in clarity, and advancing what matters most with much more ease. So Susie, we look forward to hearing from you.
thank you. So Amy, am I just taking it away? Yes, okay. So,
I did not mean to raise my.
so I just want to share, my husband and I are just on the Big Island, and we had the honor of having dinner with Amy and Mark and her children and Mark's parents, and it was one of the highlights of my trip. So I actually got to see the room you're sitting in with the blue wall, and it was great. So the subject of clarity, I went for a walk with my husband this morning, and I was thinking about clarity. Walking is one of the ways I clear my mind, getting out in nature. But what really came to me was perhaps clarity is really about giving up the struggle. And in my life, I'm 58 now, and it wasn't until my late 40s that I really began to step into more space that had clarity. And up until that point, I was in constant conflict and struggle because I was always striving to prove myself. Once I released that, then I opened up space for clarity to begin to seep in. So there's a quote that I love. It's, "Muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone." That's Alan Watts. And I think that's such a visual. If you're feeling in a space of clutter and confusion and conflict and monkey mind and overwhelm and being pulled all these different directions, it's not action. Oops. It's not uninformed action that gets you out of that space. It's what you were talking about, Amy, stillness and quiet, and letting when you think about it, when water is churned up and you've got all the silt and sand and everything, and then the winds calm down and the water becomes calm, and the silt, which is all the monkey mind stuff, all those thoughts starts to settle down to the bottom, then clarity begins to rise up. Some of the things I do to help me with clarity, when you were talking about practices, Amy, and I said I didn't really have any. Actually, that's not true at all. I probably have so many and they're so dialed in, I don't even realize I'm doing them. But years ago, I was practicing in Port Townsend with a group, Metta Meditation, and we had the most wonderful leader. And you know, have you ever been to a seminar or conference and you've learned all these things, but you come away with one little morsel that sticks with you for the rest of your life? So this is my morsel. Yeah. And it is, what am I seeing? What am I smelling? What am I feeling? So it's engaging in the senses. And I know there's several forms of that, but that's the one for me. You know, if I'm driving down Hastings, which is the main street by me, and my mind is whirling, I'll just take a deep breath and go, what am I seeing? What am I smelling? What am I noticing? And it brings me back into present. And I do that often throughout the day. Clarity really emerges when you release those limiting beliefs, and it's clutter. But the truth is, I certainly didn't know, a lot of us don't even realize that we have limiting beliefs or hidden beliefs, unconscious agreements. I have made so many unconscious agreements and rules and didn't even realize that I had made them, but they were all feeding into my overwhelm, my mental overwhelm. So in my work, and this came from how I evolved out of, I was in an absolute extreme case. I think, Amy, you probably were too. A lot of us were. I was so addicted to busyness. And that was my drug of choice. I saw a quote the other day about something about, what is your drug of choice? We all have them. And mine was busyness. I was raised by a narcissistic mother, married an alcoholic, and was codependent. I'm a codependent in recovery. I'm a superwoman in recovery. There was no such thing as clarity. My mind was so full. There was no transition. There was no pausing. And the result of that is I blew my adrenals out. I literally melted down, mind, body, soul. I see a lot of head nodding. And I think this is a real common place that women land. My career years ago, I started out with interviewing women all over the world. And I did two groups. The first group was women in busyness. The second group was what I called women in post-busyness. The first group took me 2 months to get through because these women were so busy and they'd be canceling or trying to catch them. The second group I finished in 1 week. What's interesting is the second group were the most, air quotes here, successful. And they had defined what success meant for them. But every single one of them had hit some sort of physical or mental challenge that force them to slow down. And that to me is really, the mission behind what I want to do is I want to either help women who are hitting that wall or help women avoid that wall. And my belief is a lot of this is coming from for women anyways, and men too, oh my goodness, it's because of social conditioning, how we've been conditioned. And I'm sure you and Mark have this conversation often, Amy, my husband and I, Tom and I have it a lot. It's like, what have we been taught that we didn't even realize that we've been taught? This way of being and way of showing up that's culturally accepted, that's become what's driving us. That's where I got that idea of placing joy in the driver's seat. Because without joy in the driver's seat or clarity in the driver's seat, you've got the shoulds or the have tos or the need tos or something your mom taught you or media taught you or your friends taught you. That's driving you. So once I started to bring awareness to what I was being driven by, then I was able to start making wise choices. So it's this wise, informed action led by your truth.
Yes.
And that's key, is what is your truth?
Yes.
Yeah.
May I respond, Susie? I wanna-
Absolutely. I was on a roll there.
First, yeah, it's all making sense to me, like the clarity, the crystal clear understanding of why you and I didn't know each other in Port Townsend. Is so
I was too flippin' busy.
busy. It's so funny to me. And that, pausing and taking time. You and I are both huge cloud watcher fans, like to pause and do that. It's like, then we meet each other and then we connect. And those moments we get to spend, face to face or at the farmer's market, knee to knee, eating our food or here in the house are so much more precious. And then there's that touching base across the miles. And it's just, to me, such a gift of like, why I can see now, because you, and if I may share the details, I was helping Mark with Bell Tower Art. It was an art supply business. Our tagline was fuel your creative fire. It was like the best idea. We were doing high quality, non-toxic, environmentally friendly products. We then had a coffee shop. We were right across the street from you, and you were doing Uptown Nutrition, selling all these amazing supplements and things for full health. And yet we were both like, well, I should speak for myself. I was so busy. I admired you from afar. We were friendly with each other, cordial. I would say I knew you, I knew of you, but I didn't know you because I didn't have that space to allow, that sense of, I don't have to hustle. I don't have to strive. And so I love what you're sharing. And I didn't know that about your interview experience, that if I heard you correctly, you got through the interviews much more quickly and efficiently with the people who weren't hustling and bustling. They were what did you call it? What was the word?
Post busyness.
Post busyness. And then
Post-busyness.
were the ones more successful. And I'm curious about that, if we can dive there for a moment. Was
Sure.
success based on their own chosen standards or the marker of money in the bank, or how would you define their success? How would they define?
I think each person had their own definition of success, but I do know there was an absolute parallel that success no longer was defined by how busy they were.
Mhm.
You know that, I think we've all heard it, the busyness badge of honor.
Right.
Yeah, that had been tossed. It was, they had recognized that if they wanted to attain success and further whatever their mission was, that the key was not to be busy all the time.
Mhm.
It's this piece about entering every day with, let me back up a bit. This is my belief. We wake up in the morning, make our beds, make our beds, and then we have a certain allotment of life energy to spend during the day. Like we have a certain amount of money in the bank. What happens if you are spending willy-nilly? You find out you don't have what you need. Or what happens if you're spending willy-nilly without clarity around that, or intention, or being, and it happens all the time. We're led by beliefs or self-comparison, and all of a sudden our bank is empty. Same happens with life energy, that with intention and focus, you are able to grow whatever your mission is without depleting your life energy bank. That makes sense? Yeah.
Totally makes sense. And I love that. And it also admittedly brings up my scarcity nerds of like, oh, there's just not enough. And you know, I'm listening to each practice that I'm offering up today. I'm listening to what you're suggesting, and there's a big decision in my life that I cannot make, you know, and there's that old Rush tune, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Like, I know if I decide to not decide that I won't be doing this, but is it okay if I share the nitty gritty? Do we have time? Where are we? Yeah, I think we have time. We have time, right, Mayor? Yeah, it's 5 minutes. All right. So I want to write another book. It feels really important to me. I feel like there's another message in there, like there's crystallization and more clarity coming. It's not just the purge of all the hard stuff of, you know, I got to get this out there or it's going to eat me alive, which, you know, I wrote this book under a lot of pressure and a lot of contractions. You know, there were birthing pains, and she came out without the full edit. She came out without a lot of fine combing, and I still love her. I know that I have more in me, and I want to hire a book coach. And I'm also in that place of, what does success mean when I have the time to write a book, but I can't generate the commitment and the discipline to do it on my own, and I want somebody else to encourage and have accountability. And so I'm trying to make that decision, because for me, I have the grace of space and time, but I also have scarcity nerds around money and that life energy around money, because I've adopted this lifestyle so wholeheartedly that I haven't put my nose to the grindstone and, you know, seen clients every hour and done the money thing. And I know you and I talked about this a little bit, and Mary and Dava are my besties. They know all this already. So Jack and Tanya, you're learning some more about me. And those of you watching later, we don't get this all figured out. You know, life is evolving. The yes is the yearning and the evolving, and the soul, what does the soul need? My soul right now wants support, but my mind is, why do you need a coach to do that? Where are you going to get the money to do that? You got yourself in a financial pickle with this a couple years ago, you know, and it's like, that's kind of where I am. And so I'm just kind of hanging out, but I get to make a decision in the next 36 hours, and I don't know what to do. So I'm praying about it. I'm meditating. I'm taking the walks. I'm doing the next indicated thing. And I just don't know if any of that jumped out, because I'm stuck.
So clarity. My friends that know me well know I will say this from time to time. One thing I'm absolutely clear about is I am not clear. I have to bring humor into these things. And it's truth. We are never a certain way all the time. There's always this ebb and flow and the up and down. One of the tools I use, well, number one, if I'm really stuck on something, I silver platter it. So to me, that's just a way of letting it go. I pile it up on the silver platter and I hand it off to, my word is God. I hand it off to God and just say, you know, help me with this, and just move on to something else and stop thinking about it. Just stop thinking about it. I had to make a decision. This is a long time ago. I was offered what I thought was a really cool, glamorous job, and it would have involved flying all over the country. And I'd actually already been working with them as an independent contractor. And I just recently divorced, and my son was young, and I was really conflicted. You know, oh, cool job, great money. Oh, my son. And, you know, the financial piece was huge. And I don't know where these things come from, but this is what I did. I put myself in, I visualized that I was in my 90s. I was rocking in my rocking chair, had this gorgeous view of the water, and I was thinking back on my life in hindsight. What would I have done differently? And I had to rock quite a bit on that one, but what came through to me absolutely crystal clear is there was nothing on the face of the earth that was more important than time with my son. That if I had got to the age of 90 and looked back on my life, and had I taken that job, I would have been saying, God, I wish I had just spent more time with my son. He's only young once. And so I know you talk about this a lot, Amy. It's what matters most. And sometimes to uphold what matters most, we have to let go of something. Or my other absolute favorite, this comes from the Course in Miracles, is how can I see this differently? How can I do this differently? Maybe you write the book, but maybe it takes 5 years.
Right.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I just felt so much clarity. It's the kids have their last day of school today. They're doing their exams. Toby's last day as a 7th grader and Ev's last day as an 11th grader, and they're here this summer, and I want to enjoy that. So to sign up for a 6-month program where I'm meeting every week, and then it takes the money that gives me the peace of mind to actually have more time with my kid, like it all just came clear.
Yeah.
But first, when I'm rocking, I'm like, yeah, I want that other book in my hand. But I can do that book when they're gone, and I'm empty nesting, and I'm freaking out that they're not here.
You've got, you have so many years in front of you. And I think especially as we enter into middle life, I know for me, I've had struggles with, oh my God, time is running out. I'm 58. I should be retiring. I should be stopping. Well, that's just BS. That's my own, it's my own stuff. So I have my whole life in front of me. I don't need to rush. I don't need to hurry. And my mantra is do half of what I think I can.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah.
Do half of what I think
Susie,
I can.
I'm curious. Half of what I think I can. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to make my list 10 things. I'm going to take 5 of them off. And of the 5 that are left, I'm going to do 2.5 of them.
There you go. That's it.
So Susie, I'm curious, are you open to new clients right now?
I am. Yeah.
Tell us who your ideal client is. And I know you have
Yeah, I work with women who are over 40. This is actually a recent piece of clarity for me. It seems that I largely work with women who are over 50, but some wiggle room in there. I work with women. I have a course called Calling and Clarity, and it's really about helping women unpack all the things that have filled their luggage that has come from social conditioning and those hidden beliefs and self-comparison driven by self-doubt, and then start to repack with what really feeds your soul. My part of my passion is women in leadership. But when I talk about women in leadership, because you often think of leadership and big groups of people, it's about leading yourself, because every woman who is leading herself from their truth is truly a leader, and it's a ripple effect. Yeah, so my ideal client is someone who is waking up to the awareness that they would like to do the rest of their life, or next few years anyways, differently. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I wanted to give you that moment to pitch, to plug, to express, promote. I think what you're offering is amazing, and I know you have a generous plan for working with you. You and I have talked some details around that. So if any of y'all are curious, I highly recommend check out susiecarroll.com, 2 L's, 2 R's, Y at the end of Susie.
I know. I have one of those names that has many variations. Yeah.
susiecarroll.com. She has a button there to do a consult. I believe it's very easy to get in touch with you that way, correct?
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amy.
Awesome. I am so happy that we had this time to share. I really wanted my beloveds to meet you. I know that Calling in Clarity course, that framework that you've been cultivating over these years, I just get chills thinking about it. And Susie, you helped me tremendously in our call. I had no idea I was going to bring that up, but what better way to share the tools than to make it real, get raw, get vulnerable. And as much as I would love to work with this book coach right now, it's not in the cards. And I know that. So my full-bodied knowing is relief, is liberation, is, oh, it's summertime. Yay. Just that. Yeah. So y'all know me. That's really important. I wanted to end. It's the top of the hour. So sign off now if you want to. I'm going to read my poem as we launch into Q&A. So those of you who want to stay on, but I've just asked you all to commit to the hour. So I'm going to keep my room open. If anyone wants to sign off now, I'm going to ask you to take a deep inhale And exhale. Release what's no longer serving you. Take another inhale. Invite in the beauty of this present moment. Feel that alignment of your head and your heart and your guts. And exhale. Release what gets in the way of that. And final deep inhale. Bring to your heart and gently ask yourself, now what? Now what? Now what? And let that in. Let that curiosity, that excitement, that yearning, evolving, soulful yes. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to stop the recording. Mwah. Aloha and be well. You matter and your relationships matter. Take good care. And thanks again, Susie.
Yes.
Yes. Great way to end. Yes.
Yes.
Yay.
I have. What was it?
So much fun.
I loved the
Same here.
entering the middle life. I love that. That's just beautiful. Like that could be a poem. That's like entering the middle life.
Midlife. Yeah, because when you say midlife, it's so often you add crisis after there.
Mhm.
I like middle life.
Middle life.
Middle
That's
life.
beautiful. Right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tanya, is there a notion of midlife crisis in Europe? Do you have that
Oh
sense
yeah,
of,
we have the midlife crisis too.
It's everywhere.
I think it's everywhere. I mean, I think that probably